Welcome to the Artist Impact Podcast, helping you gain confidence, grow your talent, and advance your impact. Here are your hosts, Paul Gibbs and Nate Miller.
And here we are.
We are back again.
All right. Hey, and we have the requirement, the required coffee. Okay.
Texas tea, black gold.
Cheers. Yeah, y'all come back now. You hear? Oh, so anyway, here we are. Oh, good to be back with you guys again. All right. Are you getting anything out of this, what we're doing here? I hope so.
I hope so, because we are.
Yeah, you have to forgive me because I'm looking at the computer instead of the camera. Okay. Hi. There we go.
That's okay. Some people are just listening to this, so they're not looking at anything.
They have no idea.
Hopefully, they're looking at the car or the road as they're driving.
Yes, exactly.
I'll get that right.
So, okay, yeah. We sometimes we put a little thing that says "hold still and look at the camera." Yeah, so that's for me. Anyway, all right. So let's jump right into it. We got some great stuff for you guys. So we're going to talk about 7-string guitars.
Ooh.
We're going to talk about. Are you using Instagram for your videos? Are you doing any Instagram video thing? We're going to talk about that a little bit. Got some totally interesting but useless facts for you, and we're going to talk about. NFTs.
NFTs are back in the news again.
Yeah.
So
NFT, not for talking, not for something.
Yeah. We'll
get in.
We'll get into that.
But first, let's get to the important part.
Yeah.
All right. And it was Siblings Day not too long ago, guys. Did you know that? All right. Pennsylvania State University study revealed that by the time children turn 11, they spend like 33% of their spare time with their siblings.
Makes sense.
Did that go? Was that true for you?
Probably more than that.
Probably more than that? Yeah. Because you had a couple sisters.
Yeah. So my older sister's 2 years older than me.
Okay.
Younger sister's 6 years behind. So we weren't really close, but my older sister and I did everything together.
Everything together. Yeah. Great. Awesome. May is a month that the Eurovision.
Oh yeah,
you guys remember Eurovision?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that a Mattel? Wasn't that a Mattel game? No, that was Mattel Vision
Hasbro? No.
or something. Eurovision is a song contest. I didn't know this. It's a song contest held every year. And if you didn't know about this, Eurovision is an international song contest that has been held every year since 1956.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that old, but I've caught some of these on YouTube.
Have you really? Yeah.
They're really interesting.
And some of the contest winners over the years have gone on to be incredibly successful groups, including probably the most notable is ABBA.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
ABBA.
they were discovered on there.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah, they were discovered there. One more for now. Of course, May 4th is behind us now, but May the 4th be with you. Yeah. Which May 4th was the unofficial holiday to celebrate Star Wars because the date resembles the most famous line repeated throughout the film. Everybody together, May the 4th be with you. Okay, there we go. And this was interesting too. One more Star Wars thing. George Lucas originally planned, this was cool. I bet you knew this. He originally planned for Yoda to be played by an adorable monkey wearing a mask and carrying a cane. Did you know that?
I'm not sure I heard that, but that would not have ended well.
It would not have ended well. And a sideline, the baby Yoda puppet cost $5 million to make that thing.
All those animatronics in there. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, $5 million. Can you imagine?
That's crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, we'll get back to more of that really useful stuff in a little bit.
Has everything to do with music, right?
Yeah,
John Williams' score in Star Wars, that's
music.
Iconic, right?
Oh, my goodness. Can you imagine? Oh, my goodness. I would like to have 1% of the royalties from all of that.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. Yeah. All right. So that's the week at a glance, or not the week at a glance. It's just some stuff for you. Got more for you coming up in a little bit. But let's see. Let's talk about Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you on Instagram?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think I am too.
I mean, I get posts from you, so you must be.
Okay.
It's been a while, though, Paul. You need to up your game there a little bit.
I think so. You're probably
Paul
right.
Gibbs' music is languishing. Well, I should talk.
It is.
I can't remember the last time I posted something on Nate Miller music on Instagram. It's been a while.
All right. Well, you know what? I think that's a good segue into what we're doing here because, you know, friends, we've talked about this and talked about it and talked about it until both of us are blue in the face. We're talking to each other, but you get to listen
We're
in.
Speaking to the choir here.
Yeah. You know, if you're going to have a presence on social media, whatever, Facebook, a page or a website or an Instagram, if you're not using it, our hands are going up here. Why, it's better not to have it at all than to have it and not use it because, all right, we've talked about that. We've harped on that enough. But we're not done. We'll probably talk about that again.
How do we use it for video, Paul?
Well, for video. Yeah, let's move on here. Formatting your video. Did you guys know that you can use Instagram for video? For those of you who haven't posted anything in 6 months, you might not even know about this. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I did. I don't know. Well, but let's talk about, okay, so how can you format your videos for Instagram TV or IGTV? All right. So if you haven't tried this, let's just dive into this just for a little bit. Instagram TV's video format is always going to be vertical. All right, so take your phone and hold it like this, and
portrait mode.
Not like this, portrait mode, vertical, and that's the first thing that we need to know. And I want you guys to try this. All right, if you haven't done video on Instagram, please, we're telling you so you can try it. So first of all, you got to be vertical, and your phone needs to be vertical as well. All right. MP4 is the preferred format. Sure. I guess that is, you should be formatting MP4, not WMV or anything like that. Length of videos. Now, I had no idea about this. Minimum of 15 seconds. Mm-hmm. All right, at least 15 seconds long to a maximum of 10 minutes. I didn't know Instagram would let you go 10 minutes.
Yeah, so I think if you post a video on your Instagram channel, I think it's limited to 60 seconds. If you go over, it gives you the option to post it on IGTV instead because they have a limit on your content on your regular feed. That's how I first found out about it because I tried to post a video and it was a little over a minute, like a second or two, and it says, post as IGTV, and I was like, oh, what's this? And then I found it.
Okay, so that's another. So backing up just a second, Instagram and Instagram TV are two different things. So dive into that a little bit on your own to find out. Keep in mind that as of right now, only bigger verified accounts will have access to the maximum upload length of 60 minutes.
Wow.
And so if you post a lot of videos, and you can probably get on there and see how you become verified. So I guess it must be something like YouTube getting verified.
Oh yeah, you get the little blue check mark that says you're official.
Yeah. So the video size, as videos under 10 minutes, should not exceed 650 megabytes. And the size limit for videos that are 60 minutes is 3.6 gigabytes. Yeah. So, okay. And then orientation, of course, we said as videos should be shot in vertical, also known as portrait mode. Right. And your aspect ratio. Yeah, do you guys know about aspect ratio? Okay, every 9:16 is the typical for horizontal videos, but we're shooting in vertical here for Instagram TV. So 4 to 5.
4 to 5. That's
4 to 5 is your aspect ratio that you want to be shooting in. Now that just scratches the surface. We know. So what I want you to take away from this is that this is a medium. This is a social media platform, an outlet that you should be using. Okay, and video is the thing. And so what are you doing, video or just posting stills on Instagram? Start using it. If that's how do we say? If you're already started, keep going and use it. If you haven't, you might want to think about it. You might want to think about it, getting your music out there and other videos too, just to increase your following, I guess, is what we're trying to say. Yeah. So, all right, any questions on that? Are you using Instagram? Anybody out there? Let me see hands. Are you using Instagram? Have you not started yet? Does this give you something to think about? Any other thoughts about how to get going on Instagram? How has it worked for you? We want to hear from you. And, of course, our email is info@notespiremusic.com. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please leave a comment below. Yeah. Okay.
So I think you got some more digital content stuff for us, right?
I do.
Maybe some Gen
Shall we move on to that?
Gen Z related.
I'd like Zen G or Gen Z. Yeah.
So we talked a couple weeks ago about Gen Z, for whatever reasons, latching onto physical CDs again.
Yeah.
That's kind of come back in vogue.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what you have here now.
This is a couple different things here that the younger crowd, Gen Z. Okay. Gen Z. Sounds like a Star Wars character, or it sounds like a Pokemon character. Okay. Anyway, social media platforms offering streaming options, like TikTok and Instagram are currently, and this is kind of a look into the future here, will continue to be so in the future. And it says this is sometimes the very first music discovery resource for younger consumers. This is where they're finding their music, which I think is kind of interesting. Instead of like just going to YouTube or Facebook, right. I guess it's because the younger generation's on their phone. That's what they do.
They don't buy. Well, I mean, now we're finding out that Gen Z is buying albums on CD. Yep. But by and large, people don't go out and buy an album and sit down and listen to the whole thing anymore.
True.
They're discovering music almost a la carte.
Yeah.
Online and in a digital format.
A la TikTok.
A la TikTok, yeah.
Yeah. 80% of TikTokers say they use the app to discover new music, and gaming platforms like Twitch or Facebook Gaming. Mm-hmm. I'd never heard of Facebook Gaming before. That's how old I am. They're playing a key role in that sense, and they will continue to do so in 2022. So where do we go with that? And around 28% of music listeners aged 13 or over use video games to discover new music.
And see, that's why the other week we talked about those avatars that are being created for artists, that the record companies now are realizing that this younger generation, just like you read, is discovering music not the traditional way, but in a gaming format. So the major labels are putting their artists into a digital avatar and sticking them inside these games so that these younger generation can discover their music. It's
wow.
Just a totally different way of coming about it. But
things are changing so fast to try to keep up with it. But but that's where we come in. We're trying to lend a hand there. TikTok become the most popular non-gaming app. TikTok. Yeah. Gained relevance in 2021. Very likely it will continue to be the biggest trend in 2022. Users love to watch fun, creative, and quick content that's easy to digest. Yeah, that ties into what you were saying last time about got to get that content out there.
Daily, if you're going to stay relevant for the algorithms.
Right. And I didn't know this. YouTube joined this trend and launched in March its own short form video app called YouTube Shorts.
Oh, yeah, the shorts, too.
YouTube
they have
Shorts.
Reels, now they have shorts.
And Reels, that's true, right.
Yeah,
right.
Wow.
Yeah. So all this to say, this is all stuff that I think, depending on your audience, you really need to be aware of and making use of. Videos. It's estimated that online videos are going to make up over 82% of all user internet traffic this year. Yeah, so again, it's a great opportunity for music professionals to use this format to connect to new audiences.
So gone are the days where people go on Wikipedia and search for an artist. Now they're just going to TikTok or something and looking for them there.
Exactly.
It's so interesting.
Exactly. So yeah. So anyway, that's that. And
all right. So we told you guys several weeks ago that we were going to keep looking into the NFTs. Like that's a huge buzzword. I think we've done one or two podcasts talking about NFTs and how they're becoming very popular, and there's a buzz around them for not only by individual people, but also the record labels are looking into these as potential revenue streams because this is something that's up and coming. So we kind of gave some positive things about it. Again, it's very early on in these things in the NFT landscape. We don't know where it's going to go. if they're going to last or if it's going to dive bomb or what. But there's a lot of buzz generated, a lot of popularity that's kind of springing. But we want to kind of we said we're going to try to keep looking into this and keep giving you guys a finger on the pulse. So here's sort of a negative look at it. And this comes from our friend Tony Van Veen. Over at, he's the CEO at DIY Media Group, which is the parent company for disc makers.
Yep.
And they have a really great blog over there. If you guys are musicians, independent musicians, you should subscribe to the Disc Makers blog. A lot of great content there, helpful articles. There's also videos. Tony Van Veen has a YouTube channel where you can find lots of great stuff. So this comes from him. He does have, actually, I think it was like a 2-part series on why he thinks that NFTs are basically trash. I didn't watch those, but he put this now in sort of a written format. So I'm going to read through this to you guys. Like I said, this is sort of the other side of the story from what we'd given you before. But, it's good to see both sides of the coin. And when I get to number 13, you'll kind of see, I think there's some hope. We don't know yet exactly what's going to happen. But, okay, so he says NFTs are not ready for indie music. So he's looking at this specifically for the independent musician and artists like you guys out there who are our target audience. He says there's been so much hype and activity centered around NFTs that I felt compelled to dig in and lay out why NFTs are not ready for indie music. So he gives 13 reasons. Number 1, he says, you don't understand them. You as the artist don't understand NFTs. He says that's right. The artist whose content would be attached to the non-fungible token, also known as an NFT, don't understand what they are, how it's done, or why anyone would want them. Sure, artists are interested in selling NFTs, but they'd never buy one. So if you as the artist don't understand NFTs,
right,
how are you gonna deal in these? How are you gonna buy them? How are you gonna create them? How are you gonna get them out there?
Why should I care?
Yeah, would you buy one? So he's asking you that. Number 2, and I think this is even more important. Your fans don't understand them.
Right.
If you as the artist don't understand them, do your fans understand them? Your fans don't know what an NFT is, where the value is, or why they should own one. They don't know what to do with an NFT. In general, NFTs are viewed by the marketplace with huge skepticism. Now, I don't know about that because I feel like the marketplace is kind of a buzz about this now. So
yeah, maybe not with music per se, but in general.
Yeah, I think because he's focused on indie music, so maybe not in that genre or that platform yet.
Yeah.
But he's saying there's a bit of skepticism in the marketplace for indie music in terms of NFTs. But makes a good point. If you as the artist don't understand what they are or how to use them, your fans probably don't either. And certainly, if they know more than you do, then I don't know that you can help them.
Right.
Number 3, NFTs are confusing, which I think goes with the first 2. Do you know how they actually work? He says, how you create one. He says, I'll admit I don't know, and I've been trying to figure it out for a while. Now, that kind of surprises me because I think he's kind of in the know, and he probably has resources that even we don't have. But he's trying to make a point here. He's trying to wrap his head around what are these NFTs? Just exactly how do they work? Are they viable for indie musicians? And if he's struggling, probably your average Joe who's just starting out as an indie musician is not going to figure it out either.
Got other things to think about and figure out.
Right. Number 4, NFTs are hard to buy. He says there are many marketplaces where you can buy NFTs. He gives a couple examples. OpenSea, Binance, Nifty Gateway, Rarible. The list goes on, and the marketplaces are all different. For most, you need to buy the NFTs with crypto, so cryptocurrency, which most of the world doesn't even own and doesn't know how to get a hold of anyway.
Right.
And this is interesting. Different marketplaces accept different cryptocurrencies, and many marketplaces don't accept credit cards. So there's a whole host of things here to think about in terms of actually purchasing these NFTs. There's all these different marketplaces, and they don't speak the same language. They don't even have the same currency, and it's all cryptocurrency. So a lot of different variables here. Number 5, NFTs are inconvenient to buy. And we just heard about that. So he's drilling down a little bit here. Most NFTs are sold as timed drops, he says. A limited quantity are released at a particular date and time, and you need to be there at that time in order to buy one. It basically works like an auction. So that's interesting to hear.
Oh, that is. Wow.
In fact, I've tried on, Tony says, I've tried on a few occasions to buy an NFT, but it was unsuccessful. Not to mention, I couldn't find anything I was interested in owning. I think that's one of the issues too. NFTs are brand new, kind of, And so not so many people have even like gotten into this yet or have started selling them.
Right.
So even if you could find an auction, find the marketplace, get the correct cryptocurrency, is there anything you'd even want to buy out there right now?
Right.
Yeah. Number 6, NFTs are technically complex, which I think you've already heard a little bit. So again, drilling down a little more detail. Do you know what an NFT wallet is? Well, you need one, but which one? It will need to handle the particular cryptocurrency of the NFT marketplace you're going to be buying and selling in. You need to figure out how to design or create your NFT. Then you need to learn enough about crypto to be dangerous. And you need to understand how NFTs are minted, what that even means, and how transactions take place. So again, it's not just like, I'm an artist. I got these, valuables that I want to put a digital, mark on and sell them. Like you need to understand a whole level of, digital things beyond just like, putting these NFTs on your products. So, I think this is great information for people who have just heard about this and think they want to delve in. You're going to need to do your homework, research a lot more. Number 7, NFTs today are all bought at speculation. He says it's ridiculous. In May of 2021, this collection of 9 CryptoPunks sold at auction at Christie's for $16.9 million. Yes, these little bitmapped images. And then he puts a little image here, a little bitmapped image.
Wow. Sold
for $16.9 million as an NFT. So I don't understand who's got this kind of money and why they would want to buy these things. But again, it's like you said, you're at auction, you're speculating. I guess it's an investment in some ways. People think that in the end, these things are going to increase in value and they're going to make their money back plus more. So it's all speculative. Number 8, he continues, your fans aren't buying music NFTs. And he's focusing on the indie music marketplace. He says, when I look at the marketplaces, most NFTs being sold and resold go for 4, sometimes 5, and sometimes even 6 figures. Who's buying them? Not your fans. Most music NFTs today are bought by crypto bros, he says, who got into crypto early and rode the wave up. So these are people who invested in cryptocurrency very early on. So buying stuff with crypto to them is like buying with found money or play money. For an early crypto investor, it's no big deal to buy an NFT for 6 figures because they didn't actually work to earn that money. It just accrued over all that time. The crypto they owned just blew up in valuation. Are your fans these crypto bros? Probably not, right? So, if you're considering using NFTs for your indie music, are your fans these guys out there who have 6 figures in cryptocurrency that can spend on your NFTs?
Yeah.
Makes a good point. Probably not. Number 9, there's a huge potential to lose. He says, like any speculative asset, your fans could lose big bucks on NFTs. Let me give you an example of the volatility of NFTs, he says. You may be familiar with the NBA's Top Shot NFTs. They function basically like digital trading cards and were cooler than most of the NFTs I've seen. A friend of my son's bought some Top Shot NFTs cheap, then rode the wave up until at one point, his Top Shot NFTs altogether were worth around $9,000. Not a bad investment, right?
Yeah.
But today, those same Top Shots have crashed in value and are worth only $600.
Wow.
And you don't really want your fans to buy in at a high price and then lose a bunch of money, do you? So again, think of this as an auction. People are speculating on, the value of things over time. And that's what your fans would be doing if you're going to sell them NFTs. Number 10, crypto can come with huge fees. Again, I didn't know this about this. This is really interesting.
I didn't either. Wow.
There's a concept with crypto transactions called quote unquote gas fees. If you want to transact in the more popular currencies like Ethereum, there are a bunch of transactions, calculations, and logs that have to be executed on the blockchain. This is all computer language stuff. Computers on the network have to do all that work, and they extract a toll for that work called a gas fee. So it's basically like a processing fee or a founder's fee kind of thing. Basically, you have to pay the owners of these computers a fee for them to do the work required to let you mint, sell, or even buy an NFT. With big cryptocurrencies like Ethereum, where there are lots of transactions to be done, the network can get very congested, and that drives up gas fees big time if you want to get computers on the network to execute your transaction. It can be hundreds of dollars to mint and buy a simple NFT. That means the gas fees alone can cost more than the NFT you just won at auction. So you might be spending more to invest in getting this NFT than it's even going to be worth, which is so crazy. Number 11, and this makes sense for almost everything. He says scammers abound.
Yeah.
That does not surprise me at all. Right now, NFTs are like a wild west. Again, they're very new, right? There are lots of scams out there, like people selling NFTs to which they don't own the rights. So here they are selling these things that are supposed to be digitally stamped, like saying this is the original artwork. They don't even own these things, and they're selling them to people. And lots of scammers are looking to take advantage of inexperienced crypto buyers. Again, if you're not into crypto yet, watch out, because, people out there will take advantage of you. There's a good chance a buyer or a seller can get taken for a ride. Number 12, it's a money grab for folks who've already got it. He says NFTs today are mostly an easy money grab by established names. If you're Steve Aoki or Snoop Dogg and you create an NFT, there will be plenty of folks lining up to buy it in the hopes that they'll be able to resell it for much more money in the future. Makes sense, right? Frankly, there's not much value to the content of those Aoki or Snoop NFTs. It's mostly a money grab during these Wild West times. So again, he's kind of speculating that this is the start of this. Is it going to continue? Is it going to dive bomb? We don't know.
Yeah.
And I think he sort of sums this up, number 13. And I think he could have led with this because it sort of like takes out everything that he just said. But it sums up all the arguments that he just said. Again, I reiterate, this is Tony Van Veen, CEO of DIY Media Group, which is the parent comp of disc makers. And these are his reasons that NFTs are not ready for indie music. Number 13, he says NFTs are in their infancy. We've been saying that over and over again, but here's his opinion. For all the hype about NFTs, we are really in the infancy of the NFT era. We don't even know where this is all going to go. It reminds me of the early days of the internet. I'm so old that I was around when we used our dial-up modems to chat with each other via CompuServe or message via AOL. I'm that old too. I remember that. Eventually, viewing static web pages on Netscape browser seemed like a huge revolution. I remember that too.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't even have moving pictures. It was just a static graphic. It's like, oh, wow, we can see them.
Look at that.
And look at where we are now. He says, I expect the same will happen with NFTs. So I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
In the end, he's kind of saying like, okay, we really don't know where this is going to go. I think he's just being very cautious. Like he's cautioning people. They're hearing all this buzz about NFTs and like, oh, I want to jump on this bandwagon. But like, think about all the stuff that he talked about, all the different things that you need to know and be invested in. And like, there's a lot more to it than just like going out and purchasing these things and tagging them onto your music and getting them out to your fans. So a lot of good information. Like I said, the other side of the coin of some of the stuff we shared before, but we're going to continue to study this for you guys and help you to understand it. So
non-fungible tokens.
Yeah.
That's all you need to remember. If you don't remember that, that's okay. I can see the use of this type of a thing to prove authenticity.
Sure.
It's like copyright.
It's a
like
digital copyright.
Digitally copyright a file, something digital, like a song or whatever else. I can see that could be a really good use for this, and that may be as far as it goes. Or the whole NFT, the whole thing may split into some kind of collectible thing like you were just talking about, and then something very simple, a simple version of it where you're just using it to simply digitally authenticate and copyright your song or whatever. So So again, we'll keep an eye on
this. How it goes, where the trend goes, but it's definitely a trend out there. So
we're going to talk about 7-string guitars in a few minutes. We're going to talk about analog versus digital. We're going to touch on that just a little bit in this episode. Give you some food for thought, and hopefully get some feedback from you, and maybe continue that in upcoming podcasts. And what else have we got coming up?
Oh, we got 5 ways to make your songs more memorable.
Yeah, I'll never forget that song. Anyway, we'll be right back.
You're listening to the Artist Impact Podcast with your hosts, Nate Miller and Paul Gibbs. And now, back to the Artist Impact Podcast with your hosts, Paul Gibbs and Nate Miller.
Yeah, all right. We are back.
This is episode 34.
34.
Of the Artist Impact Podcast.
Yes, and welcome. You guys have, and I don't have this in front of me, but you guys listening, watching, somewhere I read that you have a choice of like 750,000 podcasts.
Wow, that's crazy.
That you can choose from online. Isn't that something?
And they choose ours.
And they right now you chose us. And we thank you. Thank you for that. We appreciate that very much. Tell your friends. We appreciate it. We're here till Thursday. Try the view. How many of you have played a 7-string guitar? I have not. You?
No, but before we hit record, I said I did try a 5-string bass, and man, that screwed me up. I kept thinking the top string was an E, and it was a B.
Yeah. We used to tease our bass player, Mike Gorham. If you're listening, Mike, you remember we may have teased you about playing the guitar with 2 strings missing, and he played it upside down. He was a left-handed bass player.
Oh,
yeah, and he played, but it was designed for lefties.
Wow.
But we used to tease him about that guitar with 2 strings missing.
That's funny.
Anyway, the 7-string guitar, it's I didn't notice is mostly used for, according to this article, harbingers of doom. Whoa,
that sounds ominous. What is that about?
Well, delivering the extended range needed to play everything from djent to death metal, and of course, new metal. So if you're finding that your current axe is not cutting it, that was good.
That was a good play on words there.
I can't take credit for that. If your current axe simply isn't cutting it, sharpen it up. One of the best 7-string guitars is precisely what you may need to bring the thunderous low end that those extreme genres demand.
So that makes sense because people were doing all the kind of the drop tuning, and it kept getting lower and lower and lower until the point like the bottom strings are just like, a wet noodle, like it doesn't kind of
boom, 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 boom. Yeah.
Right. So now that makes sense. So you got a guitar with lower strings for all those like things.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. The 7-string acoustic guitars actually date as far back as the early 19th century.
Yeah. I have a Baroque album. Yeah. I forget the artist's name, but it's Baroque guitar. The guitar is not Baroquean, but he plays Baroque music, and it's I believe it is a 7-string guitar.
Okay. First mass-produced electric version arrived in 1990, courtesy of Japanese guitar giant Ibanez, of course.
Oh wow!
And it was developed with the shred legend Steve Vai.
Okay, that makes sense. He plays some crazy instruments.
Yeah.
Double and triple and quadruple-headed guitars and stuff.
Yeah. Things I think they're becoming more common. Well, Ibanez was the originator. They've always been the forefront of this style. There are also worthy considerations like Jackson, Schecter, and even PRS, which all have versions of the best 7-string guitars. So, hey, have you tried one? Let us know if you've tried a 7-string guitar.
I wonder, do you need more than 5 fingers on your fretting hand?
That's what I'm wondering. Of course, if you're not playing, if you're just doing those leads and stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, the thing now is power chords, and how are you going to play for me, it's bar chords. What's this power chord stuff? It's a bar chord.
It's the 1 and the 5. You don't have it.
Yeah.
There's no 3 in there.
Yeah, no 3. Oh, okay.
It's a 5 chord.
Yeah, but what are you going to do with 7 strings? I guess you can. Anyway. All right. So anyway.
But I digress.
Yes, we do. We do. All right. So, I want to get back to a couple other things. These are interesting here, and then we'll get to we'll talk about some digital versus
analog.
Yeah. 1960. I love passing this stuff along because it's fascinating to me. I hope you guys are liking it. In 1960, the Silver Beatles. Yeah. Who remembers Stuart Sutcliffe and Tommy Moore? Those names mean anything to you? Stuart Sutcliffe and Tommy Moore. All right.
Tell me more.
You tell me. Yes. Okay. The Silver Beatles, spelled Beetles, Beatles. All right. Well, Stuart and Tommy and their cohorts, John, Paul, and George.
Oh, this sounds familiar.
Yes. John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison. They auditioned for promoter Larry Parnes and singer Billy Fury, and this was 1960, for a job as Fury's backup group. Can you we don't start at the top. People don't. They start. So Parnes was looking for backing groups for his lesser known acts, and the Silver Beatles were selected as a backing group for singer Johnny Gentle's upcoming tour of Scotland. Now, the group had changed its name from the Beatles, which now was spelled Beatals,
Wow.
Beatles, and then they had changed it to the Silver Beatles after Brian Casser remarked that the name Beatles was ridiculous. And so he suggested, I didn't get this, he suggested that they use the name Long John and the Silver Beatles. B-E-E-T-E. Long John and the Silver Beatles. But guess what? John Lennon says, I am not going to be referred to as Long John. All right, so that didn't
So
Long
John
fly.
Silver's Long John Beatles. Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
Wow.
you guys know the song My Way, right? I mean, everybody.
Frank Sinatra?
Frank Sinatra, yeah.
He
It's the
didn't
first
write
one.
it, right?
He
But
did not write it.
He recorded it.
1969, his version, Frank Sinatra's version of My Way made the British top 10 for the very first time.
Oh, wow.
And over the next 3 years, it re-entered the top 50 singles chart on 8 different occasions. Wow. Paul Anka. Okay, Paul Anka wrote the song.
I know
Actually,
that
he
name.
rewrote the song.
I know that name. I didn't realize he
Paul
wrote
Anka,
that.
yeah. Oh, Donna, or no, not Donna. Oh, what was his name? Oh, Carol. No, that was Neil Sedaka. All right, Paul Anka. Anyway, the song. You're probably saying, Paul. It's anyway. Paul Anka. All right, I'll continue.
Yeah.
Paul Anka rewrote the original French song, and he wrote it for Frank Sinatra.
Oh.
And the reason he did that was because Frank Sinatra had told Paul Anka that he was going to quit the music business.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this was in the late 60s.
So we got what? Diana? Lonely?
Diana, that's the
Okay.
one, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
So so Paul Anka changed the melodic structure and the lyrics to the song with Frank Sinatra in mind. So he wrote the song
Interesting.
for Sinatra, and it was actually used in the movie Goodfellas, which Frank Sinatra was in. All right, and then we all know that, or most of us, that Elvis recorded the song in 1977. Okay, so some of you may remember Elvis's version more than you do the Frank Sinatra version. But one more tidbit here: Elvis was told. Can you imagine telling Elvis that this song is not yours or not for you? Paul Anka told Elvis that this is not your kind of song, and he tried to talk Elvis out of recording it.
Wow. I wonder how Elvis's version did.
Yeah, it was.
If it was popular or not?
Elvis was on his way out at that point.
The old, heavier,
Yeah,
the sequined
Exactly.
jumpsuit Elvis.
And if you listen to it, he tries to go up on that last note, my way, and when he goes up, you actually hear his voice crack. It's subtle, but I think
to the best of us.
Yeah, true. It's true. So anyway, a few little tidbits there.
Interesting.
Hey, let's talk about vintage stuff. Analog stuff, digital stuff. And those let's talk to the guys that are and the girls too that are in the studio. Maybe you've got a fully equipped studio, or you just got a few things in your bedroom or whatever. Analog, digital, what is the difference? Well, that's what we'd like to talk about a little bit. Analog stuff is, I think, analog as old, digital new. That's not necessarily the case. A lot of analog stuff is making a comeback.
Yeah.
For example,
Vinyl.
amps, guitar amps, tube
Yeah.
amps are, and there's hybrid amps now that are part analog, part digital, with the tubes for the analog section and then digital effects or something or stuff like that.
I think everybody's still using like reel-to-reel tape to
Anybody
record.
out there? Put your hand up. Reel-to-reel tape recording. I started out with that with
Yeah.
a Fostex 8-track reel-to-reel recorder.
I bet there are some high-end
I bet there
studios out
is.
there that are still using that just
Yeah.
for the particular quality of the sound.
Right, 16-track or analog. If there's anybody to work on those and maintain them, which there probably is, but so analog stuff, it just has that warmth. It's the older classic stuff.
You get the tape echo on it.
Yeah, that's really cool. Here in the studio here, I just wanted to give you guys just there's some stuff. I've had a studio for 20 years, and some of this stuff goes back almost that far, and some even farther than that. We've got an Ibanez Dm1000. It says digital delay on it, but that's because back then digital was the new buzzword. It's not. It's really analog. There's an Aphex oral exciter here in the studio, an ART, Applied Research and Technology, tube channel mic preamp. Got an old Alesis compressor, 3630 compressor. That's kind of a analog thing. I love my MXR Distortion Plus guitar pedal. That's from the 70s. You talk about analog.
It's got that retro, mustard yellow color.
Yeah, it's really cool. Really cool. And then the mixer that we use is an analog Mackie mixer. And things, if I may brag just a minute, there's a 66 Fender Bandmaster amp sitting right here. We're looking right at it. And it's really cool. And then there's an Ampeg G60 guitar amp sitting here too, plus a couple other things. Analog is great. I'm looking at what I can't see it because it's fuzzy. What is that? The phaser thing say on it?
I don't have my
phase
glasses
2.
on.
Okay, anyway,
we're both old here, guys.
And the lighting's not that good.
No.
Back in the 70s, I bought a phaser. It's a big black box, and it's got a phase. It's got this light that kind of pulsates with the phasing.
That's
and
cool.
Back then, but then. Digital stuff has come along, and digital mixers and things are like all the rage now, with all this stuff that you can do and save presets and all that stuff. So, not to try to give you guys an education on it, but I was kind of curious as I was going through and getting research and information for this particular episode of the podcast. What do you guys think about that stuff? What are you using? What are you using? You all digital? Are you all analog? Mostly analog stuff, the older stuff, or a combination of both? Kind of like we are here. I'd like to know what people are using and what works for you, what doesn't work for you. What's been your experience with, or if you just want to be like us and kind of brag about the old stuff you got, that's cool too. Tell us about that old guitar amp or the old analog keyboard that you have got. Oh, there's a Yamaha SK15 sitting in the closet behind us, behind the blue curtain. That's really cool, from 1984. Anyway, yeah. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, just use what sounds good. I think there's pros and cons to both. I know there are some purists out there who just think, oh, analog's always better. I mean, that's why some people are getting back into vinyl again, because they just love the sound quality. True. And there is something to it. You can hear a qualitative difference in it. And I think probably in the beginning, digital was not as good. But now, I mean, even like digital keyboards, there are some really great keyboards out there that have some really convincing piano sounds. Yeah. In the beginning, the piano sounds, you got like a cheap, Casio keyboard. They were terrible. You could tell it was digital.
Or synthesizers.
Yeah.
It's with just synthesizers and making the weird sounds.
There are digital pianos now that sound very convincing, and they're just as good sound quality. I wouldn't say they're just as good as like a grand piano or something, but if you don't have the space for a grand or a baby grand in your studio, and you can get one of these high-end digital keyboards, it's not too bad.
That's true. Especially if you don't have the room for it or
the money.
yeah. Which also, on a side note, plugins. Are you recording with a computer? Are you using plugins or hardware effects or a combination? We have a combination of both here. You talk about we've got some nice older analog keyboards here, but also a couple plugins. I found a couple of plugins that sound just like a B3, sound just like a concert grand piano, and that's all in the computer. So, what are you guys using? What do you like? Is there a particular keyboard or analog instrument that you've got that you want to talk about, or you got a favorite plugin that you like to use? Let us know. Let us know. We'd like to hear. Yeah, we'll share some of that in upcoming podcasts to let people know. Yeah, we'll even mention your name in your studio if you want us to, or if you want to be anonymous, that's okay too. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's make some memorable music.
Yeah. So I got this cool article here, originally posted in Music World, by Jason Bloom. I think we've shared some of his stuff before.
I think so. Jason Bloom.
5 ways to make your songs more memorable. So he talks about the fact that in marketing and advertising, we see this all the time. When you hear something once, you're likely to forget it. But with repeated exposure, it's more apt to stick in our brains.
Consistency.
I mean, you hear that, you see the same commercials over and over again, or they have this little jingle in the background and it gets stuck in your head, that little earworm. There's a reason that marketers do that, because they know the more you hear it, the more you're not going to forget it. So, but he's saying here, as a songwriter, this applies to your melodies as well. So, this little blurb here I think is very telling. He says, some people are afraid that their melodies will be too simplistic or too repetitious, but an analysis of many of today's top hits reveals that melodic repetition is actually the norm. Listen to your favorite current songs, and you'll likely hear the vocalist repeat rhythms and melodies multiple times within each section.
Yep. Jingle.
Yeah, I mean it's everywhere. He's right. People were afraid to repeat things because they're and he'll get into that, but he's saying it's everywhere. Listen to your favorite songs, and once you start looking for it, you're going to see it. So this article identifies 5 ways to create memorable songs by incorporating melodic and or rhythmic repetition into vocal melodies. And the interesting thing is, you would think you'd have to repeat the exact same thing. He says, no, it doesn't have to be an exact repetition. The benefits are achieved by including lines of melody or rhythms that vary slightly from each other. So you can add a little variety to it.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be the same. But
Right.
it's just enough where it's like, that's very familiar. And, it gets stuck in your head.
Right.
Okay, so here's the first way, he says. Repeat a melody while changing the accompanying chords underneath. So he gives an example of 3 Doors Down, their number 1 mainstream rock, mainstream top 40 hit, When I'm Gone. He says the 1-bar melodic phrase established in the first line of the chorus is repeated, get this, 16 times with only slight variations. Now you might think that exact repetition would sound monotonous, but they altered the chords that support the melody, so it becomes memorable without sounding repetitious. So they use that same melody, but they have a different accompaniment behind it. So it works. It probably makes songwriting a little bit easier too if you could just.
Well, we think so.
You don't have to come up with unique things for every line.
I think of. Let me just interject. I think of. Let's say you've got the chord sequence C, A minor, F, and G.
Yeah.
Well, and you're kind of repeating that chord sequence. Well, the second time or the third time or whatever, to change it, you could go C, A minor, D minor, and G.
Substitutions.
Just a little bit of a different chord there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one way to vary it up a little bit. Second one, he says repeat a 1 or 2-bar vocal melody and chord progression. He says when you use this technique, a vocal melody comprising of 1 or 2 musical bars is created. Then both the melody and the chord progression are repeated. One example he gives is the Grammy-winning Best American Roots song, A Feather's Not a Bird, by Rosanne Cash. And he says the first line of the chorus melody is sung 3 times, accompanied by different harmonization. So they took a 1 or 2-bar vocal melody and chord progression and just repeated that and added different harmonies with it to change it up a little bit. So that's another way of doing it. Third, repeat the vocal melody of an entire section. Okay, so you're talking about song sections. If you're new to songwriting, you got different things. You have verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, lots of different song sections. He's saying repeat the vocal melody of an entire section, just one of those sections. So most often it's going to be a 4-bar melodic segment. And this melodic segment then is repeated with different lyrics. So that's how you change it up there. So you have the same melody, but you're changing the lyrics. So that's where you get the variation. And this is kind of cool because he actually calls out one of BMI's Christian Song of the Year, Waymaker. So some of you guys out there, if you're one of our Christian indie artists out there that follow us, you're probably very familiar with Waymaker. It was actually written by Sinak and recorded by Sinak, Mendisa, and Leland from Bethel Music. His version is probably the most well-known. Very popular song, sung a lot on Sunday mornings for contemporary worship. But this is cool. He kind of explains it. He says, note that the first 4 bars of the vocal melody in the verses are repeated exactly in the second 4 bars. This approach is also used in the choruses, although the melody that is repeated is different from the one heard in the verses. So they use the same repetition idea in the verse and the chorus, but they change the melody a little bit so that you don't quite notice it. That is, I think that is one of those 4-chord songs where it's the same progression the whole way through.
Yeah. Yep.
But by changing the melody and the lyrics thrown on top of it, it's not quite as noticeable, and it doesn't become monotonous. So it's another little trick to use that technique. The next one he says is repeat the melody of a portion of a line. And this is pretty cool. An interesting thing to do. When incorporating repetition this way, a brief melodic segment is repeated. He mentions one example, a crossover hit, Meant to Be, And it says the one-bar melody that accompanies the words meant to be also accompanies the words let it be and it'll be. This 3-note melodic phrase is heard 9 times in each chorus. So they just use this like little, 3-note melody, almost like a jingle,
Yep.
And then change the words meant to be, let it be, and it'll be. And they were able to use this little repeated portion of a melody. So again, that's a way to like kind of put that repetition in there so that the listener keeps hearing that and it sticks in their head. Finally, he says, repeat a rhythm in the vocal melody while changing the notes. Probably this type of repetition is most often heard in popular songs. So the rhythm repeats while the pitches vary. So he says, for 2 lines to have the same rhythm, both lines' lyrics need to have the same number of syllables and the emphasis in the same places. And if you want to learn a little bit more about that, go back and watch our video on Songwriting Essentials, where we talk about lyrics and we talk about syllables and how to match them with your melodies. We give you a lot more detail on that.
Here's a little example that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Just one note different, same rhythm.
Yeah. Good
That was
point.
good. That was right off the top of my head, too.
We should write a song with that.
We should.
We just got to change the lyrics that are on top of it and the accompaniment that goes underneath.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Gonna love it.
And then he ends by saying, the most effective way to create songs listeners can't forget is to infuse them with melodic and rhythmic repetition. The repetition does not need to be exact, although in many cases it is. By using the techniques that he described above, you can write melodies listeners can't forget and songs listeners want to hear over and over again, and probably some that they don't, like Baby Shark, do 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 do, baby.
Make him stop.
I know, right? So there's another repeated melody that
Wheels on a bus go round.
yeah, exactly. So what do you guys think? Have you used this technique, and maybe you're already using it and you haven't really thought about it? You just kind of do it intuitively, or maybe you never thought about trying this out. So you use these different ways to create repetition, both either by melody, whether it's vocal melody, chord progression, or the rhythmic patterns in your songs, to add these parts that repeat so that the listener hears them and recognizes them, and then they get stuck in their head. And like he says, they keep coming back for more. So some cool stuff, just some neat little techniques to try.
That's great.
To make your songs more memorable.
Some of that, to me as a songwriter, some of that stuff is obvious.
Sure, yeah.
Some of it's
common sense, really, if you think about it.
But some of it I don't even think about. Maybe you guys don't even think about that. Maybe like Nate said, you just do it automatically.
Right.
Other things you mentioned, it's like, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's another thought. Maybe you've got a song you have written, or you're thinking about writing, or you've just started, or you got an idea for a song, and you're listening to all the stuff we just shared and thinking, wow, how can I put that into my song? Well, please get in touch with us. We would love to help you. Just give you some pointers or whatever, or we can even collaborate with you on writing a melody, or maybe sprucing up your melody a little bit, making it try our best to make it a little bit more memorable for you. We can work together on that. We'd love to. So get in touch with us. Yeah.
info@notespiremusic.com if you want to email us directly. Of course, you can always go to our website, notespiremusic.com. We are also on Facebook and Instagram, and right here on Notespire Music TV on YouTube if you're watching this. If you're listening to this, we are wherever great podcasts are listened to.
Yeah.
iTunes.
Wherever.
Apple Podcasts.
Deezer, Audible.
Everywhere.
Speaker, Spotify, iTunes,
Spreaker.
Amazon, wherever. And hey, make sure that you come back next time because, for me, anyway, I don't know about you, but for me, Spotify is like this big mystery. I have no idea. People talk about Spotify playlists. Oh, you've got to have your song on a Spotify playlist. I have no idea what that is. Well, I kind of do, but I'm exaggerating, but only a little bit. Yeah. Do you guys, you want to know more about Spotify playlists and getting your work, getting your songs on there, et cetera, et cetera? We're going to try to clear that up just at least a little bit for you when we come back with our next episode. So please do come back and we'll see what we can do. All right, I want to end with our weekly verse. We don't always do that, but this time I want to do it. It's Psalm 92, verses 1 through 3. This is very, very apropos, or whatever the word is.
Yeah.
It is good to praise the Lord and to make music to your name, O Most High. Proclaiming your love in the morning and your faithfulness at night to the music of the 10-stringed lyre and the melody.
Or the 7-string guitar.
Or the 7-string Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That was good. And that's Psalm 92, verses 1 through 3. Yeah, so tune into our other podcast. The Just Got Music Hour comes out every Friday morning.
With this guy.
And I get to host that. That's a 1-hour music podcast and a few other interesting things thrown in along the way, all about indie artists and their music. And then we also do the Artist
Insight.
Which is interviews with Christian artists, maybe just like you, and talking about your music, your ministry, and how God is working in and through all of that. And we'd like to invite you, if you'd like to be a guest on the Artist Insight, we'd love to have you as a guest. Please get in touch with us about that. And also, if you'd like to be a sponsor of our podcasts, we'd love to have you do that as well. It's a way to help us, and it's a way to help you get your name of your music, get your name, your ministry out there. So go to the website, notespiremusic.com, and all of that information is there on how you can do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I think
that's great. I think that covers everything.
I think it does.
We've solved the NFT puzzle. All right.
We have.
But I feel like they're coming back. It'll be back in
non-functioning
tourists. I don't know. Yeah. NFTs will be back in another episode.
Yeah.
We can't get away from them.
We can't get away. All right, friends, thank you so much for joining us. As we said, you could have tuned into any others, and maybe after this you will. But thank you for tuning into this one. Pleasure to have you along. Now, until we see you again, take care of yourselves.
And take care of each other.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The Artist Impact Podcast is a production of Notespire Music, LLC. At Notespire Music, we empower independent Christian musicians to grow their God-given music potential by refining their craft and extending their music ministry reach through mentorship, training, trusted resources, music production, and artist promotion. Notespire Music, helping you gain confidence, grow your talent, and advance your impact. For more information, visit notespiremusic.com. That's NOTESPIREMUSIC.com.